here today at MBA's CREF conference in San Diego, and joining me today is Chelsea Cutler, Senior Managing Director of Capital Markets at CBRE. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
We're happy to have you. And we want to learn a little bit more about you. So can you tell me a little bit about your journey and how you ascended to your role?
Yes, so I started in capital markets about 20 years ago, which is always a little kind of scary to say out loud. But about 20 years ago, I've been with CBRE for 16 years.
Oh, great.
I started actually on the agency closing side, so closing Fannie and Freddie loans in particular. What a great education, because it showed you how a deal really works, soup to nuts, and just the pressure of getting the deal over the finish line. And so I did that for a number of years, and then I got tapped on the shoulder to kind of move into more of a leadership role, and I ran the western half of the U.S. for our debt and structured finance group. And so I did that for a number of years, and then now I run the talent training and development for our capital markets group within CBRE. So trying to really figure out how can we find the best talent, train them the best way, and just equip them for kind of the current environment in the best possible manner.
That sounds like a very interesting thing, especially nowadays. So can you share a lesson with us in your career that was pivotal for you?
You know, I will say this, that living through downturns, and I always tell young people one of the hardest things is that you have to accept that you're going to see a number of downturns in your career. It happens. So during the great financial crisis, I was sitting in a seat within kind of a debt and structured finance role, and I remember my boss gave me a plaque that said, "This too shall pass." And since then, I really, really like that saying because I think it's applicable in the good and the bad. And I think sometimes when everything is really frothy, we get so excited, we can't see ahead of ourselves, this too shall pass. At the same time, when things are awful and falling apart and capital's, basically like an ice block, this too shall pass. So I think it is a good way of sort of calming yourself down in the environment to know that things will move on. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but just kind of keep moving forward.
Yeah, important in this industry.
Yes.
And staying along that theme, because that's a great leadership trait, what are some other traits that you think are important to be an effective leader?
I think you have to be resourceful. I think you have to really understand the talent of the people around you to really leverage them to everybody's advantage. There are some people who are amazing on the tech side. Leverage them that way. There are some people who are more analytical. Leverage that. So I think it's kind of finding everyone's highest and best use and sort of making sure that we approach it in the right way and leverage them the right way where they're also happy. I think that's important too. And being curious. I think being eternally curious, especially in this environment, is important because the world is ever changing. Every morning we wake up to a different news cycle and to different technology changing on an exponential basis. And I think we just have to look at it and just kind of be curious and try to understand it as best as possible.
Can you share a piece of advice for the next generation of women?
Yes. I would say to most women to understand that imposter syndrome is a real thing.
100%.
And I think that understanding that it's very real and that you're sitting in a seat that you're supposed to be in. And I think having that confidence to know that you're supposed to be sitting there is really important. I think we always as women tend to second guess ourselves and question things, but I think kind of trusting your gut and knowing that seat is supposed to be yours is something that you should sort of move forward with throughout your career.
Yes, and keep pushing yourself, and you are a great example of that. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you.